From the first time we met, I sing my never-ending song of love for you. I'll sing my never-ending song of love for you. I'll sing my never-ending song of love for you.
All right, as you take your seat, wiggle around, relax into that chair, get comfortable. As we prepare for our time of prayer and meditation together, take that deep breath through your heart. Breathe out, letting go. And let the music be a part of that journey into the center of your heart.
In your hands I leave my care, in your hands and comfort there, in your hands all safe and still, in your hands I leave my will, make the choice to rest this hour, put my trust beside your power, my life this world surrendered now. To your hands, in your hands I leave my care, in your hands the comfort there, in your hands all safe and still, in your hands I leave my will, make the choice to rest this hour, and put my trust inside your power. This world surrendered now into your hands. My life, this world surrendered now into your hands.
Gently take that deep breath through your heart. As you breathe in that awareness of the presence of God enfolding you, surrounding you, blessing you. Releasing that breath and resting open and receptive. Mother, Father, God, as we enter into this time of prayer, we ask that we awaken to be aware of your consciously present moving in and through our lives and as our lives. We remember that your love embraces us and guides us, lifts us that we might meet all needs, that you would guide us to that which is true fulfillment into everything in our lives. And so we take whatever cares we might have had for ourselves or for those who are dear to us, and we place them in your love. We know that with you all things are possible. And in opening that beautiful connection with Spirit, we do so by simply remembering that experience that is love, which is your presence. So we remember those that we love. And take this moment to just feel that love for each of them and send them that love from our hearts. And we embrace those things that you would pour your love through us to bring forth, those things in our lives about which our passion focuses, that which we create, that which we give, that which we bless, that which we share. We send our love into each part of our life. One with your love, one with your presence. And with our hearts open and your love flowing freely through them, we open to your peace, that deep and beautiful peace that you are within our hearts, that peace that quiets the mind and brings forth serenity. And in that peace we follow that direction given by the Master as he said, peace, be still. Peace, be still. Peace. Father God, infinite love, beloved presence, knowing that you are this feeling that is love upon our hearts. We make the choice to send that love forth. For to send your love is to bless and heal, to prosper and guide, to create peace. And so we send your love. We send it to our bodies for our healing and wholeness. We send your love to those that are dear to us, blessing each one. We send our love through our hearts across this spiritual community, blessing each one, becoming a part of that light and wisdom that flows through them. We send your love across the communities in which we live, across our country, healing its fears and bringing forth its great wisdom and compassion. We send this love from our hearts, sending it to all who join us in prayer this day, whether in mosque or synagogue, temple or church, whether gathered at home or on the hillsides, or in seeking to know you. We are all one. We send this love through our hearts, beyond all boundaries, beyond nations and religions. We send this heart to the earth and the creatures of the earth, and we send this love to the heart of every person. For you are that love in every heart. And in that love, we are one. Divine love flows through my heart, enfolding and blessing the world. Together. Divine love flows through my heart, enfolding and blessing the world. And again. Divine love flows through my heart, enfolding and blessing the world. It is so, in the joy of the Christ presence in each being. Amen. Okay, now just in case you didn't get the morning blessing from your mirror, turn to that person beside you and tell them, "Good morning, you beautiful child of God." Sometimes our mirrors forget to do that for us, so I just wanted to make sure we got it. One of the things that we are entering into is that experience where in this new year, in this new creative energy, we're going through that willingness to consciously create a different world. And we made the commitment here to go about that consciously, transforming that energy of fear, particularly the fear of lack, financial fear that has gripped our world, so it can get over it and get on with the things that are important to get about. And so this month we've been looking at what are the different principles of abundance, the principles of prosperity, realizing that one of the gifts that we have in Unity was that contribution by Charles Fillmore at the time of his, in the Great Depression, of writing the book Prosperity and sharing with people that as spiritual beings we have the capability of creating abundance. That's part of our job as a spiritual being, is bringing forth and manifesting what we need to be about, what we're here for, so that we create that abundance. It's part of the nature of God. It is part of our nature. And so that shift that we go about as we move from the way that basically we learned life was, from the outside to the inside, where in terms of abundance you had to go out there and get it, to the understanding that as spiritual beings we create it from the inside out. And we looked last Sunday at that understanding that God is the source of it all. We are in this realm of what Charles Fillmore called divine substance, which is this universal energy that is everywhere, that is this divine presence, and that we give form to that presence as we call it forth into the material world. Now, we looked at starting that with the experience of silence that we were looking at. And now this week I want to step into a very important part of that, because what we know is that the more you are on purpose in your life, the more you are focused on what your life is really about, the more you draw that abundance and goodness into expression in your life. Because you didn't show up here by accident. You came into this experience of humankind as a soul intentionally making the choice to enter in and be here for a purpose. You came in here because there were things that were important to you to be about and to accomplish, to create, to express, and to grow into as a spiritual being. And the more you are aligned with that, the more the universe can say yes and show up with all that you need to do it and enjoy it. So I want to look at this idea of purpose, what it is, how we find it, how we align ourselves with it. Now to do that, I want to share with you a man's experience, because some of you may have learned about this fellow. What I love is, as he shared his experience, he did so very consciously and very honestly, which lets us look and realize over the journey of his life how he learned and identified his purpose. The man's name is Greg Mortensen, and he was the author of a book, Three Cups of Tea. Many of you have read that. I know it's been on the bestseller for a long time. I ran into his experience long before the book and realized my appreciation for him and for what he was about. And so as I've gone back and looked at what he's done, I realized what a marvelous view into someone finding purpose. Now, his purpose is kind of like, it's a little grander than some of us embrace. And so I'm not saying you got to be like him. What I'm saying as we look at it is the choices that he had to go through and the dynamics that he had to experience were no different than we experience. They are that same process of learning, identifying, making the choice, stepping forward. So in sharing his story, let me give you a little background on him. Greg was, his early years growing up were in Africa. He was he was a child of American missionaries in Africa, and his father's focus was really the creation of a health clinic. So health and service were very important in his early life. But one of the things that impacted him most was a younger sister who became ill, and with her debilitation, it was very difficult for her to do, just the normal things of life. And so he grew into a place where he had great compassion and care for her. And I realize this is important because throughout Greg's life, what I see is the reattunement through purpose, to purpose through his heart. And that experience with his sister, I think, helped him to learn how to find his heart. Your purpose is in your heart. It is not in your head. Now, we know that because we've tried to figure it out before. Well, there's this, and then I can do this, and I can do, but I can do, we've been through that. Okay? That's not the way we discover it. You discover it from your heart because it is that passion, that direction that was put there when you entered into the earth. And when you feel that, you know that's right. Now, all the other things you know may convince you that's not. And particularly those around you that go, what do you mean? But when you touch it in your heart, you know that's what you're about. So for Greg, the way this developed was career-wise, he became a trauma room nurse. He was very skilled within that profession. But his passion was climbing mountains. Okay, and passion is important again, because passion points you in the direction of your purpose. Okay, and so he had this passion for climbing mountains. Now, if you've had a passion for something, I got to tell you, it really doesn't matter whether anybody ever gets to the top of a mountain. Okay, it just doesn't matter. What matters is in order to get there, you have to bring into alignment and skill the mental, the physical, and the spiritual levels of your being. That's accomplishment. That's something that's important to the soul. The development of that persistence and commitment that lets you stay in that creation through the storms and the problems and all which show up on that mountain. And the ability to work with others in that journey, all of which is important. So I can see why Greg's soul said, let's do it on a mountain. So they had it. So what happened was in his focus and his passion, he then drew to him, as you do. When you're in line with your purpose, you draw what you need. So he drew to him an invitation to climb K2, the second highest peak in the world, and probably one of its most difficult. Now, in the 3 months that Greg spent in Pakistan in the ascent of K2, he never made it to the top. What happened was that after the tremendous physical ordeal, one of the climbers became very ill, and Greg took him physically down mountain sides and across glaciers and back into where a helicopter could come in and take him out. But because of what he had given, he was so depleted that he needed to head on down the mountain. And so in that journey, by the end of it, after he left the edge of the glacier and went on, there was a point where the trail turned, and in his exhaustion, he wasn't aware of that. So instead of going to the village across the river that could have, where he would have connected with others of his party, many miles later he came into a native village there in Pakistan where they had almost never had a foreigner enter. And it was a very, very primitive village, but the people took him in and realized his need and cared for him and helped him and sent their people the long journeys out to eventually bring folks and help him. As he healed, what Greg did was return to that village and do his healing there. Now there was a wonderful opportunity for him because as a nurse, he was, you know, they don't get medical help there at all. So he was able to, you know, connect with people in service. He was able to really came into a deep appreciation and love for these people. And in that experience, he asked to see their school. And he went up and there was a plateau on the mountainside and there were over 80 children using sticks to write in the dirt with no building and no teacher. But so committed were they to learning that they were there in their own drawing in the dirt. That impressed me, having raised 3 children. Wow, I would see why I would have, oh my goodness. But as a result, his heart was touched. And he felt as though he was guided to bring them a school. He made that commitment to them that he would bring them a school. Change of purpose. His purpose had been to get to the top of the mountain. Suddenly his purpose is to bring forth the school. What happened? Now, as he tells his story, what we begin to realize is he had to do the same things to bring forth the school that he had to do to get to the mountain. He had to use all of his spiritual, his mental, emotional, his physical self. Okay. He had to use tremendous patience and perseverance against very difficult odds. So, in your purpose, Spirit is so efficient. Okay? It doesn't change from one thing to another. It uses what you've already done to go to your next step. Because everything builds. Now, that's assuming that you really stay on purpose. Now, I've had some great journeys off purpose. I won't say it's not a lot of fun. It is. There's wonderful things out there. But eventually there's something in us that says, what am I really doing here? Let's get on with it. And that is your heart. Because that is where your fulfillment is. So looking at where your passion is, and when your heart directs you, you know it. Now there's a challenge in that. Okay, there was a challenge for Greg when he returned to the United States, and he looked at all sorts of folks that were interested in education and other cultures, and had money, all this, and he sent out over 500 letters saying, here I'm doing this wonderful project. Would you donate and help me accomplish it? He got one back, and that wasn't for a great deal. Now, what I shared with you was when you are on purpose, that is part of the universe being able to flow in through your life. Doesn't look like that for Greg. And sometimes it doesn't for us, because there's a problem. When you recognize, okay, Martha, this is it. This is what I've got to do. You show up with your old consciousness. You're about to step into a new level of consciousness, but you aren't there yet. Now, if you look at Greg, here's a guy who's an extreme introvert. Okay, he didn't like, talking to people, doing things. He's, kind of focused on get his job done, be by yourself, nice time, quiet by yourself, go out and climb down. And here he is. He has lived with basically nothing. If he got any money, he put it into climbing equipment and a trip. So he's not used to money. He certainly is uncomfortable asking anybody for money. Okay, he doesn't particularly appreciate it anyhow. And suddenly he's supposed to manifest all this money to build a school on the other side of the world. His old consciousness showed up. Now, this is important because so often when we get that direction and we know this is my next step, I need to take it. And then we see that suddenly the windows of heaven don't open. We go, oh, God doesn't want me to do that. I'm not really guided. That was just kind of wishful thinking. I'm going to go back to what I was doing. We chicken out. That's a spiritual term. What happens is that's where we reach deep within. You go back to that direction and you check. You look at your heart. And if it's your purpose, it'll say yes. And then you dig deep and you take the steps that are before you to keep on going, to change who you are and your consciousness. It's not a problem with the rest of the world. It's us. Greg did that. He kept on with the asking, with the seeking, and as he had done that inner journey, when the time came, a friend said, oh, you know, there's a mountain climber that has made an ascent on that peak. He's talked about that, but he loved the people, and he's a very successful scientist and has a whole lot of money. Why'd you call him? And of course, the guy said, can't I write letter? Whoops, change of consciousness, call it. But he did. And they talked about it, and the guy said, I would love to do that. It's been part of my heart's dream. And the money was there. There is plenty to meet every need. More than enough to meet every need. If it's not there, it's because we haven't done the growth in consciousness. It's not that God got fickle. Decided, well, you go ahead, but I'm going to take a snooze, seventh day or something like that. It doesn't happen. That divine presence is there. It is always there. It is infinite abundance, and it responds to you and who you are because you are one with it, and your journey is of utmost importance. That's why you came here. Now, I got to share a little bit about purpose. Let me just step back for a moment because we've been talking about a particular kind of purpose, what I call the purpose of doing. Okay, it's that which you're creating, that which is coming through you, that which is manifesting and expressing as it does in career or family or, the many different ways that we create sustaining life. There's another kind of purpose, the purpose of being. Okay, and this is it's important to find within yourself this purpose. Because it's the purpose that is there because you're there. It shows up wherever you are. It shows up in your family. What shows up when you're there in your family? Is it love? Is it peace? Is it inspiration? Is it chaos? Is it criticism? What shows up when you're there? And what do you want to be? Well, when you go into your heart and say, what am I really about? That's why I'll show up that purpose of being. We're showing up there. Very important. Because when we say yes to that, that's part of the power that flows through all that creative purpose. And then there's one other kind of purpose I want to mention because it shows up. And that's what I call the transformative purpose. Okay, this one of the ways that we see this embraced is for those that find themselves struggling with addiction, those who find themselves dealing with childhood trauma. These things which show up as these huge structures you must face in your life. Now, they don't show up by accident. For whatever reason, when you chose to enter into this earth, you took that part of human consciousness and said, I will transform this. And the only way you transform it is by walking through it and making a different choice. You came here to transform it. If that's part of your life, it is showing up for you or those around you. Bring that power of your heart there. Bring your love and make a choice that is in alignment with who you are. Because that makes a difference for all of humankind. The time has come to release ourselves from the control of unhealthy physical and emotional patterns that limit what we're about. We got too much to do. You can look at that world and see there's some pretty serious help at this point. And that comes by the love and the power that flows through each of us being on task, moving forward on our purpose. Now, we'll go back to Greg. When the money showed up, he headed back. Now there's some wonderful experiences along that way that I'll share with you at other times because they're so instructive. But I want to give you the bottom line. Okay, what happened for Greg Mortensen through that experience ended up looking like over 130 schools. 58,000 children in Pakistan and Afghanistan being educated, most of them girls, in the land that would be under the struggle of the Taliban, which would deny education to women. What happened isn't the schools. It's not the mountaintop. It's not the job you're doing. It's that when you're willing to be on purpose, the consciousness of peace, the consciousness of love, the consciousness of oneness and wholeness flows into the earth and lifts us to a different point. That love of God moving through you is not just creating what you're about. It's creating what it's about, what we are all about, why we showed up in this marvelous game, and why we get to play it together. Because I know that you are committed to the purpose that you find in your heart. We are bringing forth a different world. It is filled with that love and that power. So while you're being on purpose, have fun.
Thank you for continuing to remind us. I have to turn this back on. Thank you for continuing to remind us to have fun and about our purpose. Oh, if you would like prayer support for challenges or celebrations in your life, our heart ministers are here and available to you. You're also invited to place a prayer request in our prayer box by the front door, and we'll be praying with you throughout the week. Now's the time for our prosperity celebration. And if you're giving a Love in Action donation, please use the envelopes that are marked Love in Action. Now I invite you to take out your tithes and your love offerings in your hands and close to your heart, and repeat with me our affirmation. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give and all that I receive. And we are grateful. Thank you so much for being here.